Swims are too close together. That's the problem.
I mean, last time I used a snowman was probably 15 years ago. I said that to Christoph and he looks at me as if I was stupid.
I'll be honest, and this sounds, I'll probably get hated for this, with flopping 40s. I know that sounds wrong.
Well, you're spending the majority of the day winding fish in.
It goes in the net and it's got a big, wrinkly slap head on it, a head like a Labrador, and its eyeballs are bigger than yours.
If he fishes there, our chances of catching are less, and his chances of catching are less.
You could go out in a boat, for example, empty 100 kilo, you ain't going to catch anymore.
Me and Lewis both pulled this lady from Calcutta. She was very nice.
All the memory matters is me, not what you think of when you see that picture. When I see that picture,
Well, it should matter what I think of when I see that.
I don't care what anybody think.
Well guys, a warm welcome back to the Always Carp Fishing podcast. Hopefully you're getting out and enjoying some of this amazing autumnal weather we're currently having. What a podcast we've got lined up for you in this one. Fresh off the back of their trip to Lake Bled, Lewis and Scott return. We get into the minds of those two, how they went about tackling the mighty Bled and all the shenanigans that went on. We're also joined by Shaun McSpadden, big fish angler, having banked 12 fish over 70 pounds and 3 of those being over the magical 80. So we get into Shaun's angling, his recent trips and his findings. And if you've spooled up your reels recently or you're due to replace your line, we've got some information you really need to take note about. And stick around to the end, because of course you can get your hands on a load of free Fox kit. Sit back, relax, and welcome back to the podcast.
It's not always easy as straight as a die though, because you naturally with lakes, there's always like the swims are cut slightly right or slightly left.
In all fairness to him, obviously he didn't sound like he understood it fishing at 10 o'clock, but
yeah,
Harry's right. Sometimes you go to the swim next door and you're like...
Yeah, but if matey had had his at 12 o'clock instead of 10, then
it would have been fine.
There'd
Yeah,
have
exactly.
been a little
Yeah,
bit
but what I'm saying is potentially.
Oh, you're still
you know,
going to be in each other. Remember that time we went to Wick? Me, you, Spurge and that?
Yes. Yeah.
we
That's.
were all
I mean,
like
that's
that anyway.
That's a almost circular lake.
Yeah.
So every swim points into the middle. Like
Yeah.
there's.
Sounds
It's
horrific.
always
That's why you want to go in quiet syndicate lakes and not have anybody around to get in your way.
Your action plan B, mate, caught a fish, job done.
Well, there's an action plan. Was it last year? I put a question to pictures and I said, who would you send from the Fox team to a busy day ticket? And he was like, Lewis. He said he wants to. He's like, let's get a film done, Lewis, at St John's for 48 hours.
What, to catch a carp or just pure entertainment?
It wouldn't be to catch a fish. I wouldn't put my fucking rods out to start with.
It's not a bit of you,
Sit
that,
there.
mate, is it?
I can't handle it.
You don't like people. That's the problem.
No.
That's
That
a
is the
misconception. He loves people. He just doesn't let on that he loves people.
He's got this hard exterior.
Yeah.
No, I don't like people.
He is a very soft-centered type of bloke, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Once you
Yeah.
crack
Yeah.
that outer shell
Yeah.
in the bit, it's all gooey in the middle,
Gooey Louie.
That's it. Like a humbug.
like a humbug.
No,
Like
they're
a
not
humbug.
going.
Oh yeah, but they've got really hard shell. I'm thinking more like an M&M that's been in your mouth for a little while and the centre's gone softer, but the crispy shell's still there.
I'm thinking more like a stinging nettle.
That's how you describe yourself.
Yeah. Fuck off. A stinging nettle just
Come in my swim.
or a gorse bush. A gorse bush is a proper fuck off, isn't it? I just want to fuck off.
Yeah.
Brambles,
It's a f- that irritates for another hour afterwards. Yeah.
brambles and wild roses.
Oh, man.
Savage.
I think if you're that type of person like Lewis or like that bloke who was next to you who
You say that Lewis and this bloke are the same?
likes their own space and doesn't want anyone to fish anywhere near them, they should certainly not go to places like that. But places like that, if you fish normally and you fish straight and you fish straight out and you don't, I say normally because normally could be a rod over here, a rod over here. If you fish straight out in front of you and you fish well, there's so many good fish in those lakes.
But the swims are too close together. That's the problem. So even if you do fish straight in front of you, when you hook a fish or the bloke next to you hooks a fish don't swim in a straight line directly back to you most of the time. They kite left and right.
No,
you get the bloke
but this is
taking
what
you out in the
got
middle of the
But
night.
I'm saying you've got to be that type. You've got to be the type of person who
Take a
is
deep
willing
breath and just
who,
go,
who is willing to accept. Right, he's taken my rods out with a fish. if I get
I'm
a
gonna do
bite,
the same to
chances
him.
are I'm going to do the same to him, and that is all part of it. But if you're also the sort of person who likes to set yourself a sort of challenge of catching a load of really nice fish, there aren't many places that are better.
Yeah.
So you've got to
fish.
you've got to embrace it. You can't go to Linear thinking that you're going to get the same type of session that you might do on your quiet club lake or your it's totally different. But you fish it. You're there for the number of fish that are in those lakes.
Yeah. So speaking of sort of busy waters, you've just come back from Bled, guys, as well. Nice little trip abroad. How'd you get on? What was it like?
It was busy with tourists.
Yeah.
But you expect that anyway when you go. It's even though we're October, it was still like the back end of the tourist season, so there was still several thousand Chinese and American, South American tourists walking around in India and Asia. People from all over the world, basically. It's incredible mixing pot of people.
Lewis loved it.
Yeah.
Just so benefit the people listening, just explain about Lake Bled. What is the draw from an angler's point of view? Why go to Lake Bled? What was the why is it on the bucket list?
It's picturesque, isn't it?
Seems to be the place that everybody wants to go to.
It's the same reason why there are thousands and thousands of
Of other
tourists
people there, yeah.
from all over the world. That it's one of the most beautiful places.
It's up in the mountains. You've got snow-capped mountains on the horizon. You've got the iconic church that's on the island of the lake. The water's this bluey colour, gin clear.
The castle on the
castle up on the one of the opposite mountains. It's just a stunning location, and it's got some really big fish in it as well. And it's busy. It presents lots of challenges. Day only fishing. You're not allowed to put any free bait out, so you're just fishing single hook baits. You've got boats on the water, swimmers on the water, divers. It's just all going off.
Wow. Jeez.
But it's an experience. It's not something I want to experience regularly.
You can have a break now from it.
Yeah. But it is a great experience. But you have to. I went there knowing I needed to be a lot more chilled than I normally would be, because having like loads of people in your swim making noise and what have you normally would do my head in. But you can't go there and you can't.
It's like rubbing lavender in your ears each morning.
You can't have an exclusion zone. Like when I fished park lakes in the UK before, you use your barra and your gear and everything and try and create a barrier around your peg to you'd set your brolly up with it, tight in, and you just try and keep the real world behind you. You couldn't do that there. Like you're not allowed brollies up unless it's raining. It wasn't raining. You can't have a bed chair. So you're travelling light because it's day only. So you haven't got loads of gear to create the barrier. So I just kind of thought I was just going to have to embrace it. I never expected myself to do this, but I was able to sleep on my chair because you're doing long days. Like on one of these chairs, I'm fast asleep, and it's just the world's just chaos all around me. Like literally, like people in and around my swim, taking photos, talking in all these different languages and that. And I must have looked like a homeless person just sleeping on this chair. There was the odd one who'd wake you up to ask you questions. Normally, like, what are you fishing for? Are you going to eat them? Are they going to go back? How big are they?
Did you have anyone like playing with your rod?
Oh
rod
my
with
lord!
That sounds worse than it should do. But
I'm sure we'll be able to cut a few pictures in. There was like all kinds of carnage going on. When Lewis is on about creating like your little area, at one point there was myself, Lewis, Christoph, Shrasco, all sat on chairs, and there was probably like that much gap between us. They just bowled straight through, walked straight through the gap into your swim, just stood there like that. So someone's taking a picture because the gaps where the swims are, you can see through to the church and the castle and stuff like that. So naturally, the tourists want to be in the gaps.
Yeah.
So they can get the picture with these things in the
Those
background.
gaps aren't swims. Those gaps are gaps to take photos.
Yeah.
Which anglers go?
Which
I can
anglers
fish
go in?
from
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Let's
We
get
call
this
them
right.
swims, we call them that.
It's not a fishing lake with
Yeah.
swims.
Right.
Like there's gaps where you can put your rods out, and they happen to be the picturesque spots for the tourists.
How many days were you there?
We fished 3 days, 3 full days. So you start in, your rod's out 6:15 in the morning. You fish till 11 at night. Get back to the hotel, gone midnight by the time.
That's not through choice, sorry, Lou.
They're the rules, yeah.
Okay.
You can only. So there's certain areas on the lake where you can only fish till 6 in the evening, and you'd either have to move or go home. But the area we fished, you're allowed to fish till 11 at night, and then start again at 6:15 the next morning. And
Are there people trying to swerve it?
yeah, there's all sorts going on. There's some people like leaving their bank sticks and their carp care stuff in the swim at 11 to try and reserve it for the next day.
Right.
I saw a picture. There's a Facebook
I
group.
saw that yesterday. or the day
Yesterday,
before.
a lad posted up, "Is this normal?" Like, he's walked into a swim and all this stuff's already there. For me, if that happens, I'd be picking all that stuff up and fucking throwing it up the bank. like that ain't happening. Like, and I'll just be praying that the guy who did it ain't big, fucking hardcore. He's gonna beat me up. But yeah, like, there's that sort of stuff going on. There's people sleeping in the swim to reserve it. None of which we I couldn't think of anything worse than just like sleep. Like, it was bad enough trying to sleep in the daytime there, worrying about being in a public place, let alone like at night, like when you can't put a tent or anything like that. So you just like, it's cold. You don't want to be trying to sleep at night on the chair or on the floor or a bench or something. So you get this big anxiety because like we wanted to get back in the same peg each day. Because it was close to our hotel. It was an area that we knew had got good form for doing some of the real big ones. So we kind of thought with 3 days, if you do like one day in a different area of the lake, you're not learning anything. Yeah. So we thought we're probably better off just keep going in the same swim every day and hope that we can learn something. And as it worked out, we didn't catch anything on the first day. We
saw a load, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw fish
in the evening,
which we were able to act upon. The second day we caught 1. The third day we caught 3. So you feel like you were working towards learning it and doing it. So I think that was the right decision in the end. But you have this horrible anxiety. You're packing up at 11, going to bed, and it's like, are we going to better get in there tomorrow? And then you're not sleeping properly. You certainly can't sleep properly. I share a room with Scott, and he snores really badly. So I wasn't getting a lot of sleep. And then
he says
you wake up in the morning, and you've got this.
Get me out of here quick.
This panic. It's a similar thing to what you get in your normal fishing when you drive into the lake.
Yeah.
Because you've got an area in your mind that you want to be in or whatever. And it's like, will it be free? Will it be busy? Blah, blah, blah.
But it's every morning.
It's every morning, that same thing. But luckily, we managed to, by not doing what some of these pullers were doing, luckily, the area we went in isn't one of the main popular areas. Like where the films have been made with Daryl Peck and Nash and some of the other films, they're like further away from where we were, so everybody's like clambering for them because they've seen them on the videos and stuff. But it's a 300-acre lake, and there's a lot of carp in there, and there's a lot of good areas that people maybe don't know about because they haven't been lucky like we are. We've got Christoph and Shreko who live in Slovenia, who know the lake as well as anyone, who are able to say, look, this is a good area. We've caught plenty of fish from here at this time of year in the past, but a lot of people will overlook it. So again, if we tried to get in one of the main swims every day, we would have either have to play silly games like people do, or we wouldn't have got in them. So we made the decision to let people play silly buggers down the other end, and we'll just do our thing.
Talk us through the fish, because it's not like you just caught a few little ones. You had
What is this? Do you know? Have you got a brief on the stock? What you were going for? Is it ever been talked about?
Don't know about numbers.
I picked up when you said real big uns. I'd have no idea what sort of size you're talking.
I think the biggest is 34,
35 kilos.
Like 80. It's an 80-pounder, I think he said.
It's been 36.
big enough for you, Sean.
Yeah.
Sounds nice. That.
I think 2 weeks before we went, Amy Emery, an English lady angler, she'd caught a 70-pound common from there. A lad I know, Liam, last year, he caught a 70-pound common from there, which I think is a different one to what Amy had. I think there's I think Christoph said maybe 20 fish over 30 kilos.
Yeah, that's if I remember.
It's like
300 odd acres. It's big and it's deep.
Deep. Okay.
So by no means it's a gimme that you're going to go and catch a monster, but there's hope. There's enough there to give you the hope.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
So what was the sort of tactics going out there? Did you have a preconceived idea of how you were going to fish, or
you're very
rigs
limited.
and things like that? Did you have a sort of, what was the plan of attack, I'm asking?
You're limited. The rules mean you can't put bait in. So you can't pre-bait, you can't, like, even if you want to go to the same spot again, it's not as if you put bait in and you're going back onto it the following day. You can't put freebies in.
You can't catapult, you can't throw in sticks. So you're literally hooking on a PVA bag with a few freebies in and casting out.
I don't even know if that's technically allowed.
It doesn't say, it doesn't say in the rules that you can't fish a PVA bag. So I think we were within our rights, and the other anglers who were fishing were within their rights to hook a PVA bag on and cast out. Like that was
Right.
you know, like as best as you were going to do.
Yeah.
So you're literally hooking on a few, like 10 freebies or whatever to cast out and hope that
In 300 acres.
might.
in 45 feet of water, and you're hoping that, you know, for me, like I fished a bit differently to Scott. Like Christoph had said to us, he'd always done well with really big hook baits, like an 18mm bottom bait and then like a 15mm bright pop up on
Feel
top.
like it's a bit of food for them to eat.
And I love that. You know, I'm agricultural, big size 4 long shank wide gape hook, big hook bait. I'd been glugging them for weeks in advance in garlic oil and using the ProStim liver boosting hook bait powders on it, so like cultured them up. So I was trying to get as much attraction into my hook bait as I could. Garlic, nice, strong.
To draw them down onto that spot sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure about drawing them down, but if they were within a few metres, you'd like to think it'd give them something. So I went really like agricultural, bigger hook baits than maybe I'd be fishing in England normally. Similar, same rig, but just bigger hook baits. Whereas Scott fished more like his English style with smaller like hook baits, didn't you? Like
I did have one snowman on. I had a snowman on one rod.
Yeah.
Bright ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On one rod I had a bright little orange jobby, and on the other rod I had a 15mm and a 12mm as a snowman. Not 18 and 14 or 15 like Lou. So, but I mean, I can't. Last time I used a snowman was probably 15 years ago. I said that to Christoph, and he looked at me as if I was stupid. Really? You don't use a snowman? I said no. Last time would have been rainbow, and then we soon stopped using them because we went to double bottom baits, didn't we, rather than snowman?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So yeah, donkeys years ago. Donkeys years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, so other than that, we fished quite differently. I was using lead clips. Scott was using helicopter rigs. I was using coated braid, new prototype one that I think is going to come. I think we're close to signing it off now. That's been tested for a while.
Yeah.
Really nice. Much harder to strip than the old coated braids that we've had. But once you do strip it, it's really durable. So you're not having to change hook links.
It's a great product, isn't it? I love it.
After a fish or whatever, because the hook link's still in A grade quality afterwards. Also, I used it in 35 pounds, so it's quite stiff again because you're casting out into 40 odd foot of water, and it's got a lot of water to free fall through. I was wanting to make sure that it wasn't going to tangle falling through the water. And then Scott, you were using like fluorocarbon or something like that, weren't you? Like a combi,
£25 link boom with a braided section, combi, slip D style, whatever you call it. I don't even know what you call it these days. You know the rig I use pretty much.
Yeah.
exclusively
Well, it's
now.
like a slip. Yeah, it's a
slip D
Slip
multi-combi
D
thing if
that
you
you
want to
can-
give it a tag.
So we
you
fished
can
quite
change it.
differently.
But we were fishing next to each other. We were literally close quarters. Sort
So,
of thing. Rods in the-
this again about that etiquette thing. So we fished me, and then we left one gap
Yeah.
free in between. Sorry, two. One was a really small gap. Then there was a bigger gap. You wouldn't have really wanted to fish out the smaller gap. It would have been a bit tight. Left those two kind of gaps, and then Scott was there on the right, and I was like sort of on the left. And we did that for the first 2 days, no problem. And then on the last day, a guy turned up at like 9 in the morning. So everybody's there ready for 6 o'clock because, you know, that first hour it's still dark, and that's like your best opportunity. So we set up as we had done every day. Nobody's gone in between us. Happy days, all cool. Feel like, you know, chill. We've got a nice bit of water to ourselves. 9 o'clock, this geezer turns up he was a German chap, couldn't speak any English. Had his wife and his kid with him. So I think it's like a family holiday, bit of fishing. Drops his barrow in between us. Thinking, nah, he's not going to go in there, surely.
Especially he was in the little.
Yeah, he went in the little gap that was
right
next to where I was.
So the distance between yourself and Scott, what are you talking? Like 30 foot less?
Oh no, it was a bit more than that. Probably 30 metres.
Right.
Yeah, 30 metres. So like, he's not going to go in there. So I've just walked down there and sort of said,
V Gates.
you know, well, we didn't know he was German at that time. So I tried in English and just got, okay. I said, you don't want to be fishing there, really. I said it's a bit tight, and he couldn't speak English, so his wife could speak English. So she said, "Oh, we this is a swim." I was like, technically yes, but it's 300 acres.
But you'll ruin it for me.
It's 300 acres. There's only 20 people fishing on the whole of 300 acres.
And today's our last day.
Yeah.
It's going to kick off.
She said, "Oh, okay. Show me where he can fish." I was like, "Oh, cool. Follow me." So I've walked and I've gone past Scar, and I said, "Anywhere there, onwards." No, but he wants to fish here in the trees. I was like, "Yeah."
He did mention the word etiquette. I could hear
Yeah.
it.
So she said, "It's a swim." I said, "Yes, I know technically it is, but we have a etiquette. You know, if everybody, if he fishes there, our chances of catching are less, and his chances of catching are less because of the amount of pressure in one small area on such a big lake. If he goes up there, he's got a better chance of catching, and we have. So it's better for all of us." She smiled. I'm thinking, here we go. Yeah, but he wants to fish here. Okay. And I thought, and I don't know, normally, now I would carry on normally. I like to argue and I like to win. And it might have been sleep deprivation. It might have been sleep deprivation. It might be old age. I'm not sure.
No, it's because you were there and you were embracing the atmosphere and the people
But
around you. A little bit more mellow than normal.
In my head said, he's probably been looking forward to this trip for years.
Don't ruin it,
months,
Lewis.
whatever. Like, you know, it's a bucket list trip for everybody. He's there with his wife and his child. It's a family holiday. He's obviously not a real serious angler because he's turned up at 9 o'clock, not at 6. He probably won't stay all day if he's not got here early. He probably ain't gonna. Once it gets cold in the evening, he's probably gonna go home. And he's probably looked forward to it. And for him, his fishing isn't the same as what my fishing is or what Scott's is. We do it for different reasons. Leave him be. Maybe some karma will pay off. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. We agreed on the one nearer to Scott rather than me, obviously, so I had a bit more room. But we left him be. And then throughout the day, then I was, you know, smile, thumbs up to him, doing good. Asked him a little bit more about
Suck it
where
up to
they're
him, then.
from and stuff like that. And
Have a guilt. Felt a bit
yeah, I did. I felt bad. I felt bad for being like that.
But one thing we forgot, we think he was desperately trying to get back in that swim because that morning I found some bait in my swim.
Yeah. So after the second night, we packed up at 11 o'clock. We'd seen him walk past in the daytime on the second
Several
day.
times.
We knew he was wearing a ESP top, so you knew he was an angler.
Oh, I get this. So he eased up on him because he knew that he'd have baited up for Lewis.
No.
You-
If you saw the bait on the floor,
No,
mate, you would
you
not want
would've
to be
gone
fishing over these things like 24mm barrel, rock hard concrete.
Oh.
It was that
Yeah.
hard. I used it to wedge my bank stick level.
Yeah.
I tried, and I had to bite it in half, and I shoved it down the hole, and I got my bank stick
We
level.
don't know for sure it was his bait.
Yeah,
but
we don't know.
We pack up at 11. We're back in there setting up at 5:30, ready to cast out at 6:15. And these boilies that definitely weren't there when we packed up at 11 were there. So somebody had been in between, put some bait out. So we think maybe that was him, and he was so keen to get back to fish there.
So
because
keen that he turned up at 9 o'clock.
Well, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I
Yeah.
don't know. It just seemed weird that we found bait
yeah.
in the swim.
And he was very, very adamant. that he wanted
Either
to
way,
fish
I did the right thing in the end and was a bit like just said, yeah, crack on. And I felt, because I did feel bad that, you know, for him, it was he'd probably been looking forward to that and he wanted to fish there, so it was cool. And then, yeah.
And then unfortunately, I had to witness a couple of fish get caught either side of it.
yeah. So come on, what did you catch? Because we've spoken about all of this. Really, we want to hear what you've caught.
Well, we definitely got to put some pictures of Lewis's friends in, so we'll make sure you get them.
That will
Dean,
be
and you can
going
have
up.
them.
There's a story that leads about around the end.
Oh
Yeah,
God, yeah.
okay.
There's
So-
mate, to be fair, there's loads of stories that happened. Me and Lewis both pulled this lady from Calcutta. She was very nice.
You both pulled the
Yeah,
same.
she wanted a picture with us both. Called
She said to me,
"Handsome boys."
She says to me, "You're very handsome," and I was like,
No,
"Thank
she said
you."
it to me first.
No, she said it to me
no.
first. Right? So she says it to me first, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much." And then she went, "And so are you." I went, "Well, that's just ruined it, because if you think he's handsome, your judgment is terrible."
Yeah, but she fettled my beard and not yours.
No, yeah,
was
she
like,
gave him a little bit of a.
a little tickle in my beard. We got a picture with her anyway, from the back.
But yeah, so like I say, day one we didn't catch anything. Shreko did a lap round the lake, speaking to other anglers. It appeared nobody really caught anything. Obviously, people are maybe not keeping their cards close to their chest because they want to get in a swim again the next day, so they're not likely to shout about it. But you can see their mats, their slings. You know, you get an idea. You can speak to the other anglers who have said, you know, because they're not going to like protect the guy down the bank. And so Shrekker comes back. Nothing's been out. Maybe one
got caught. I think one. Yeah.
And you're like, well, we know it's quite prolific when it's on, but it was really high air pressure. The daytime temp 16, 17, bright sunshine, hardly any wind, and you're fishing 45-foot water. So it's you would want to be fishing adjustable zigs ideally, but they're banned, so you can't do that. So second day, we go back in the same areas, rinse and repeat what we did.
But we had seen fish that evening. As it went, just before it went dark, we saw some at range. Oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. Oh, that's cool. As it went dark, we saw them coming a bit closer. So we're like, oh, okay. And then into dark, we probably saw a couple of shows over the spots that we were fishing.
Where we were. So it gave you enough confidence to think, well, we're coming back here tomorrow because, you know, nobody's catching anywhere else anyway. So we go back, get the rods out. Within an hour, I had a bite, which was, you know, brilliant because, like, that's what you're there for, isn't it? Then you never, ever lose that feeling that you get with a new venue, that first bite.
That first beat.
That's the one. Especially, like, you've done that first day and not caught anything and sort of think, is this even going to happen?
But we'd done that first evening, and that's supposed to be the best time. And
we'd
seen them, so we thought, so you're a little bit deflated because we've not caught anything in the evening. We're going back the next morning to secure the swim, but we're not really expecting anything in the morning. We're thinking we've got to wait there all day again until the evening comes in because the evening's good. But obviously we lose caught one.
So we got the rods out. I sat in my chair and I'm like, right, it's still dark for the next 40 odd minutes. I need to get sleep. Like the best chance of trying to fall asleep when it's still dark, isn't it? So, and I'm like, I'm trying enough, not enough. Then I'm just a deep. And I've got the old illuminated bobbins like that, and then you hear as it pulls out the clip.
Nice.
That sound. I love that out the clip, and then. Now, because I'm up the bank from Scott, and Scott's with Christoph and Shrekko, they haven't heard me get the bite. I've got my receiver in my pocket and everything, so it's not like blaring. So I'm like, I'm fucking playing a fish here, and I'm like. So this guy's like push biking past me and stopped, and I'm like, can you let my mates know that I've got a fish? So he's gone back up there, told them. As he's come back, I've looked at him again to say thank you. I realised, because now the lights, he's fucking wearing fishing clothing. He was a fucking angler. Of all the people to tell that you've got a fish, it's another angler. So it's like, right, now tomorrow's going to be hard because he's now going up the lake probably telling everybody, they've caught a fish down there. Anyway, so we landed that £38 common first fish.
What a start.
Great start, yeah. And then rest of the day uneventful, which we expected because it's bright sunshine, flat calm. We were told you are really fishing until till it gets dark.
The crowds were entertaining though.
Yeah,
we embraced the crowds and had a bit of banter with them as well. We had some fun.
Plenty of that.
Is that it, when you keep saying evening, Lou, just trying to get it, you said you saw fish at range moving a bit closer. Did it, with all that activity and stuff closer, and I don't know the depth of the water, but are they drifting back in? Are they drifting into them busy areas in the evenings? Is that why you stand in a better chance then?
Yeah, I don't like where we were. There's a boat taxi service that's taking the tourists to the island. So all day from about 7, 8 in the morning.
8 o'clock, bang on.
It's just, there's boats back and forth all day. Now, they're going over 40 odd foot of water, but if the fish are sitting up in the water because of the high pressure, maybe they don't want them boats over their head. So they're out in the middle bit where there isn't boat traffic.
It's like 75 foot of water there.
Is it really?
And then, obviously, like, you know how it is, in the sun sets, the boat traffic stops, the tourists all drift away. Now it's dark at, what was it, 7?
Yeah,
6,
just
7?
before 7, I think.
At night, so you've got 4 hours or whatever of darkness, and that's what you're living for. You're thinking, right.
I guess that's like typical days only venues.
Yeah.
If you any days only venue, if you can fish
if you got a couple
even
hours
an
in the
hour
dark,
into dark, you know, as soon as it gets dark, it is game on. And I guess also because it's not always been no baiting. That's
this year, I think.
This
isn't it?
year or last
this
couple
year,
of years.
yeah.
So like
What's
again,
the reason behind that, then?
like with it's water quality, I think. isn't
Yeah,
it?
so it's not the fishing club that's banned baiting; it's the government. that run the lake.
Because Bled is an iconic.
Yeah, it's the number one
tourist
tourist
location.
attraction.
They don't want to get algae blooms.
Yeah, they don't want excess nutrients going in the water. So there's been a massive study commissioned. Fisherman's bait contributes 3%.
4%.
Was it? I think you said 3.
Yeah,
3 or 4% of
yeah.
the nutrients that are going into the lake. Ducks and geese shitting in there 20-something%, but they're not. But they're not culling all the bird life, stopping them. But for the fishermen, you're not putting any bait in because that's an extra 3 or 4% of nutrients that's going in the water that's potentially going to cause algae blooms. And then all of the tourists who go out and rent glass bottom boats to swim. I get it. I understand it. You know, it is what it is.
You're not allowed to feed the birds,
Yeah, you can't feed the
you're
birds
not
because
allowed
that's
to feed
putting
the birds.
extra nutrients.
and you're encouraging the birds there, and they don't want the nutrients in the water.
Right.
They really take it seriously.
So you're proper
the clarity
against it,
of the water.
You're really up against it now.
But what I was saying is like those carp, even though they haven't been baited for, well, I'm sure, like you say, people are putting bait in, but they're not getting the same level as they were before. They're conditioned that, like on a match fishery, where it's like, oh, it's getting to the evening, go into the margins because everyone chucks their bait in at the end of the day. It's the same thing. You're not fishing really far out because you can't.
There's no point.
No.
So I guess they're just coming in closer naturally because of that.
And add to that the time of year, autumn is always a nocturnal time. There's always that transition from summer into autumn where bites are in the dark. On pretty much every lake I've ever fished, it's been like that. So you've got that added into the mix as well. So we're living for the night. Confidence I've caught one, we think it's going to happen. And again, nothing happens. And a lot less shows than the night before. So it's like, this is
2 days, one bite.
One bite, yeah.
Okay.
And we've got 1 day left.
Right.
Now, because I'm a team player, I'm going to bed thinking you want to come home. Both of you haven't caught a fish each.
Yeah.
Ideal situation, like you're not agreeing.
I just know when you line it up with because I'm a team player that you're gonna do some self-serving speech now.
So I'm like thinking I really want to go back in my swim tomorrow and put my rod back to the spot that I caught from.
Yeah.
But also, if that's the only spot that's going to do us a bite, so I said to Scott, what do you want to do? Do you want to swap swims? And because he doesn't fucking take things seriously and he's so laid back, he's like, not bothered. I'm not bothered, do what you want to do. Basically, you've only caught a 30-pounder and I'm here for big uns anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, your fish means nothing to me. I'm just here for... you may as well have blanked. You may as well have blanked for a 30-pounder. So...
waste the diesel.
So I'm like, what do you want to do? And he's like, I don't mind, I don't care. So I was like, well, that's my decision made. I'll go back where I caught from.
But I tried.
Yeah. So anyway, So and then what we did do is put one of Scott's rods. So what we said was, put one of your rods to the left of my 2 rods, and go a bit more to the left because we had seen show that night was more to the left. There's a big area that you can't fish to the left of where I was. There's a swimming club and there's no gaps in the trees. So there's probably 300 metres between me on the left and the next lot of anglers. So we see some fish show a bit more left. So Scott's been able to wangle a cast and kiss these trees and get as left as possible as he can into a sort of a no man's land. The first hour of the darkness before it gets light, nothing. So it's like, oh, fuck. Gone, nothing again. Now we've got to wait all day for a chance tonight, the last night. I'm fast asleep. Tourists around. I'm in my zone. Middle of the day, bright sunshine. I've just heard.
No, we've missed. You've missed a fish.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you missed a fish.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
So I'll pick up the story at this point.
And there we go.
Sorry, Scott.
And there we go.
So we're rods out in the morning. We're rods out in the morning as normal. This was the point about him saying, I'll stick to my guns and stay where I am. So rods are out as normal in the morning. Lewis had his bite in the dark that second morning. It's come light, and I'm in my chair like that. So hood's down. I'm just having a little snooze. I think Shreko and Christoph were sitting with me, and it's about 7:30, 7:45. I'm like, oh, and it's away. It's gone. So my rod in my swim has gone. So I'm like, oh, wicked. So next minute, I'm like half asleep but awake, stood at the edge playing this fish. So I landed that, just under 38, similar,
37.
like peas in a pod to Lewis's.
£1 smaller.
Pretty much, but nicer looking than common. Yeah, a few ounces smaller than his, but better looking.
In a match, you would have lost.
Yeah. I mean, you can
He would have lost
choose
in a
yourself
match,
when you see the pictures which one's the best one.
Well, your one's the best one because you had the picture with the church in the background and Lewis chose not to.
No, yes.
No.
Dean, you need to cut in a video clip that somewhere
sent
in
me.
here
Yep.
about Scott. So now let's go back like 20 years. Lake Bled, iconic venue, and there was people pioneering fishing there. It wasn't common knowledge about the big carp that lived in there. The local Slovenians knew, and the odd tourist knew.
Mark Pitcher's caught a roach out of there in the 90s.
But it was kept quiet, right? And the local guys,
Well done, Mark.
if they took a picture with the iconic church in the background, that was for their private photo collections. It never was publicised. It was always trees and normal backgrounds to protect the fishing. Then word gets out, social media comes, everybody wants a photograph with the church in the background, so there's church photos everywhere, there's films being made, blah, blah, blah. And it's now like...
Me too.
The church is like the Bonnie Blue of all churches and islands in the fishing world. It's been on more films than anything. So, I had made a personal decision, which Scott agreed with, that we would not photograph our fish with the church in the background because we were with two Slovenian anglers, locals, who don't want their fishing getting absolutely hammered. They've always respected it.
But now we're talking about it on a podcast.
So
That's a little bit exaggerated.
So we agree we're not going to. So I'll catch the
Now we
first-
went, fuck that. We ain't having a picture of the church in the background. Everyone wants to do
you're
that.
so
We're
underground.
going to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, we're carping.
Yeah, it's carpier to not have the church than have the church. Now you do the opposite thing. So anyway, so I photographed mine with trees in the background, put it back. The next day, Scott catches his, expecting just to photograph it with trees in the background. Oh, no, I want the church in the background on mine.
No. I had the picture with the lake in the background, but you could see the castle in the background. Then, when we moved it to one side, Christoph said, you got to have a picture of the church. So then we got the church in as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, no offence, Lou, but looking at the pics of your carp, it's a lovely carp, but it could be from anywhere, and that's like
St.
a
John's.
once.
It
That's
was
like a
St.
once.
John's, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It could have been like it could have been.
Yeah.
It's like a once in a lifetime
But-
trip. That
yeah.
you've said it is a once in a lifetime.
But it doesn't
trip. You
matter, does
probably
it?
won't go
Because
back.
all the memory matters is me, not what you think of when you see that picture. When I see that picture,
Well, it should matter what I think of when I see that.
I don't care what anybody think. I'm fishing for me and for that thing. I've got pictures of my rods out with that church in the background. I've got that memory of fishing at Lake Bled. I don't need my catch picture to have the church in the background. Me and the fish should be the focus of that picture, not some bloody old church on an island.
Well, if you've got the church in focus and you haven't got the fish in focus, then you need to sack the camera.
Anyway,
down. But
Anyway, we both caught one.
Yeah, so,
we're
then,
buzzing.
so
We're happy.
Scott decided to break cover and not be
Get that
carpy.
memory.
it's a better thing.
Yeah. So then Scott had put one of his rods to the left of my swim. Middle of the afternoon, when you don't expect to catch anything, I'm asleep. I've just woke up to the sound of a clutch, no alarm, because his head's on silent and he's up the bank with his receiver. So I'm like,
But, so at that point, my rod's down there and his rod's on mine. So I've got two rods out there, and I've heard dee, 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 dee. And me and Christoph looking at each other like that. I'm looking at the rods and I'm like, oh, what's going on there? Must be Lou. So he looks at the bank. He's been asleep, but then he's heard the clutch go because the head's on silent. But I've got a receiver here, but I can hear it going. Zzz, I can hear it on the receiver. I'm like, what? The next minute, he's stood there with a rod in his hand, but he's like just like nonchalantly, just like holding a rod down.
I'm playing
Expecting you to think
Yeah, I'm playing
that
the
he's
fish.
got your fish on.
I'm looking
because your receiver's
I'm
gone.
looking at Christoph. I'll give it that. Christoph's like, And he's not moving. He's not flipping. I'm like, and then I'm like, it's Scott's rod. Like, shout out the back. And then he comes trundling down. Yeah, so that threw us because like that was like, wow, it's
Middle of
17
the day.
degrees, bright sunshine, flat calm, boats going back and forth, and then his fucking single bag out in the middle of the abyss rattles off. Beautiful fish, only a 20-pounder. Beautiful fish. And then so we finished. So that was
I was in the
number 3.
afternoon.
Yeah, that was number 3.
I'm 2-1 up. But we both
Yeah.
caught, and that's the main thing.
So I've now gone from thinking, oh well, like I'm all for the team and everything, but now we're going home and he's caught more than me.
You're not putting that rod back out there, Scott.
Anyway, the final evening, we're like, surely something's got to happen. We've had 2 nights where it's supposed to be the time and nothing's happened. And time was ticking. And then at 10:20, so we had 40 minutes left till we had to reel in, and that was it. Our holiday was over. Ivan, one of our fox salesmen from Croatia, he'd come to visit us and have dinner with us at the lake. And one of Christoph's friends, who's apparently the best fly fisherman in the whole of Slovenia, he was with us as well, socialising. We're all enjoying it. Started to drizzle, and there was nothing on the forecast. We got no brolly with us or anything. It's like, oh, you are joking. Like, right at the end, we're fucking going to get wet. And Ivan said, oh, maybe this will help the fishing. I'm like, it's only drizzle. And we're in 45 foot. You don't imagine it's going to do any difference. Anyway. Dip. Dip. I told you.
Lewis's rod
Yeah.
on my right-hand side now.
Yeah.
So I've poached one out of his swim. Now he's poaching one out of my swim.
Yeah, technically not out of your swim because it was somebody else's. If there was somebody, but
Well, it wouldn't have been
yeah,
theirs. In the
my
middle of the
rod
Roman
was in
pond.
your swim. The bait was cut.
And you're going back and two between these 2 swims, all whilst matey's in the middle of.
Yeah. The guy on the last day, he's set up in between us,
Yeah.
and he's doing his thing, and like Scott's running past him to get a rod and what have you. So anyway, 40 minutes before lights out, the rod's gone. Played the fish in. Because the water's gin clear with the head torch, like I don't like having a head torch on to play a fish. I like that whole thing of being on my own, land it, and then turn the torch on to see. But because you've got Ivan there holding the net and everybody's in the swim and everything, there's torches going on, and then it looks good, blah blah blah. So you see it, it's nice. It's a mirror. I'm happy because I'm thinking, well, I've had a common, nice to have a common and a mirror. Oh, it looks big, blah blah blah. Ivan slips the net under it, and it's like, yay! Christoph's mate comes up to have a look, stands on this, there's like rocks on the front of the swim that have got greeny algae like stuff on it. He stood on that, he's gone zoop, slipped, gone straight in the lake. As he's gone in, he's grabbed hold of Ivan and pulled Ivan in with him. Ivan's let go of the landing net. Christoph's just seen him let go of the landing net and had flashbacks to at home Fen when he's 70 pounder swam out of his landing net. So he's like grabbed the landing net, left them 2 to fucking fall in the lake. Ivan's gone and put his hand out as he's been pulled in. He's put his hand on some rocks, cut his hand, really nasty gash on his little finger. There's blood everywhere. They're soaking wet. Ivan's gone white as a ghost. He's sat on this bench. He's shaking. He's white as a ghost. He's like, I don't think he does well with blood.
No, he clearly don't.
I said, I've got some spare socks if you need them. They're jumpers, they're trousers, they're fucking saturated. I think I need more than socks, mate.
Sounded just like him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's gone from Croatia to South Africa, I think. And then, so then we've weighed it up. It's gone £50 10.
Mega.
Literally right at the death. And then
It's a proper nice one as well.
Yeah.
cool fish.
But the evening came good. We were like,
The evening finally came good on the third day. So some nice photos. We had 2 of the Fox photography lights up and with the flash on and that. We got some nice photos in the dark.
Yeah.
Had a wicked shot with Christoph and Ivan. Had a shot with Scott. You know, for me, them shots with trees in the background with those people in are way better memories than the fucking church would be. Granted, you're not going to get the church at night because
No.
you wouldn't do it. But those for me are like that. They're for me they're the kind of photos and the memories I love. That doing it like together.
And what did it?
Far better than
what
if
did
it had
weigh?
been Scott holding the fish and me just putting my arm around
What did it go on the old scales?
£50.10. Yeah. So what we were able to conclude from that, Scott was in total agreement, was that small hook baits catch small fish and big hook baits catch big fish, because I had the two biggest ones on the big hook baits.
total agreement.
Proper
convinced.
conclusion drawn
Very,
then.
well, yeah, I mean, can't argue with
Wow.
science, can you?
A good trip had, guys.
And then we woke up the next morning. We were getting picked up about 8:30 to go to the airport. We went out the hotel, wandered down. Nobody in our swims.
Yeah, really. So you have all this anxiety about, can I get in that swim every day?
Yeah.
The last day, because we knew we were going home, we weren't going to be in there. When anglers walked past, Scott's had two. Or first of all, Scott's had one later on in the day. Scott's now had two. Yeah, we've had two, blah, blah, blah. The last one, there's flashes going off, fucking photography lights
People
everywhere.
falling in the ponds.
Yeah, shouting. Oh, mate, he's next door to us watching it all happen. So you're thinking there's definitely going to be somebody in it, because it's fishing really hard the lake. The word is there's hardly anything getting caught. So you think that we have a leisurely wake up in the morning, have our breakfast, go out there. Nobody there.
Did you not fancy 3 or 4 hours in the morning before you got picked up?
He nearly did.
I nearly did,
Yeah.
but I caught that fish right at the end. I was
true. Yeah, end on the high.
Because at this stage now, I haven't caught anything all day.
Right.
But I'd had one first thing in the morning on the second day. Scott's had one first thing on the third day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, we've got a chance of a fish tomorrow morning. Like, we could do a few hours and be like, but then for me, as soon as I had that I'm done now. That's me.
It's
I'm
a nice
cool.
sign off that one.
Yeah, we could, because Ivan was taking the rods back to Croatia with him, because he'd lent us the rods. So you're taking your reels off, he's taking the rods. We've got to pack our suitcases, and you haven't got all the worry about that. So it was a leisurely final morning. But yeah, it would have been. I would have been right on the edge if I hadn't caught about going back in the.
You'd have put them out.
Yeah, for the last just for 2 or 3 hours, because you're there. But
Talking of Ivan in Croatia, you've recently been to Croatia, Shaun, haven't you?
I did.
You like it? You like a quick trip over to Croatia, don't you?
I do. Yeah, we've earned that right over the years. To be fair, I've been going probably 6 or 7 years. To answer your question, I was there a couple of weeks ago, and we've got it to the point now. Yeah, it was a short trip. I think we flew out of Stansted now into Zagreb on the Monday evening with one of my pals. Mate, I think we landed at 2 o'clock and we're fishing at 5 o'clock. We take a tackle box, our reels.
just as it's on Lake Zajaki.
Zajaki, at the minute. We've got an eye on a couple of other places that we're going to explore next year. One explore in terms of us for the first time, but they're well established. And yes, we fished Monday evening. My pal kicked off with 250s in the first hour, which was encouraging. And then we got to it Tuesday day, Wednesday day. Packed up Thursday morning, came home. I think we visited a retailer in that time, did some product testing. Ivan was there, Philip was there, who's our sales guy for the other portfolio of brands we've got under Preston, so he looks after Avid and other brands like that. And I make a point of going every year because 6-7 years ago, when we went for the first time, we turned up with the usual sort of kiss case, loads of luggage that we've paid a fortune for, basically taking all your kit and your bait.
Yeah.
And Ivan, bless him, was working for his uncle, and he signed us out our rental car. So we got in a hire car, went to this lake that we'd not been to before, chucked some rods out, caught some big carp. Good. And then obviously Ivan came down with us, had a social, and at the time, from a business point of view, I think we were doing some distribution network on that eastern block. And eventually the business got big enough, and our sales director said, do you know anybody on that side of the world that has got the potential to be a good sales rep? Yep. Because Ivan was super keen, it was refreshing, super keen. Part of the national team, world champion, obviously a very, very, very good carp angler. And long story short, he ended up being our Fox sales manager and still is to this day. He's grown the area well. And then it evolved, Philip became part of that portfolio. Then their friends became into your team in marketing.
Yeah.
So I make a point of going over every year.
We've got a fantastic team over in Croatia.
and it's a different style of fishing than what I'm used to. It's something that I'm not great at because I don't do it an awful lot.
Yeah. Just talk us through it. Yeah.
It's distance fishing basically. And it sounds great. It's full of big carp. You think it's easy. Yeah, the fish are very catchable, but you've got to work at it.
When you say distance fishing, is this boat distance or casting distance?
All casting.
All casting.
No boats
Okay.
whatsoever involved at any point unfortunately, because I'm happy to catch big carp in the easiest way possible. This isn't, let me tell you, you are spombing from dawn till dusk if you can do it.
Yeah.
The more you put
thing I
in, the
noticed
more you're
recently,
gonna
I didn't
catch.
realise with Zajaki, there's lots of small, like, by that lake stand, everybody knows it for doing 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and it's like more 60-pounders caught in a week on there than probably any other lake in Europe. But in recent times, I've watched a Jacob and Henry video for Nash, and at the moment, as we're sat here, like some of Mark Pitchers' Capital Angling guys are out there fishing. The amount of 20-pounders that are getting caught, I didn't know they were in there. Like, so they're all exhausted because they're catching loads of them. Like, it's like cut, spom, rod goes, 20-pounder, get it back out, spom, rod goes, 20. So it's not even like relaxing fishing from what I can see, because it's not just, oh, you only get a few bites and they're all big ones. There's also a lot. Are you catching these 20-pounder? Because I don't see you ever with 20-pounders. Are they happening? You're just not photographing them, or are you just catching big ones?
It's a bit of everything, Lou. Yeah, it's a good point. They do, they have, I'm not sure exact details, but they have government policies over there that clubs have to stock lakes. I don't know the ins and outs of it. So there is stocking programs on most lakes because they have to a degree. So they're always getting a fresh sort of influx of fish. So that'll be contributing to the small ones.
And they did lose a load, didn't they?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. And that was mainly the small fish, which are probably a bit more vulnerable, haven't built up much of an immune system, all the usual stuff. But the average size is just is ridiculous. I mean, we filmed it many years ago, as with Tom, and it was an exceptional trip. Yeah, and they've had the odd bump in the road in terms of fish kills in between. But
Are you using just boilies when you're baiting, or are you putting particles? Is there a reason why you're like, because a lot of these small fish that I've seen getting caught this week and on the video I watched, they're spodding more like a traditional spod mix with a lot of particle in. Is that contributing to them catching smaller ones? Are you putting more boilie in? I think it's a really good point, though. I think personally, it's not just carp in there as well. There's all sorts of weird silver stuff and things like that, and I get these like little weird like hybrid type things. And for me, I'm going with the boilie approach as much as possible. The reason I will put additional stuff into a boiler mix for spodding is to increase the weight. So it makes it a little bit more easier, a little bit more accurate, perhaps a bit of pellet, a bit of maize, that's it, a bit of colour, that's it.
To fill the gaps.
Yeah, exactly that, H. It's predominantly boilie. I'm a boilie fisherman. And
what size boilies are you going with out there with?
Anything get my hands on, to be honest with you.
Right, okay.
Generally small. I prefer smaller because my theory on that is you've got more bits of stuff in the water.
To keep them there for longer?
Exactly that. Because you cannot, trust me, you can't put too much bait in it. You could go out in a boat, for example, empty 100 kilo, you ain't going to catch any more. Because there's that many fish in there. When they come in, they'll just smash it.
I know you said to me before, you're spending the majority of the day winding fish in than anything else. Yeah. Because they're so big and they fight so hard, and you're fishing with quite light line and stuff to get the distance.
Yeah, exactly. We're fishing sort of 12-pound orange exocet. The last trip, I used the black spom tapered braided leaders, game changer, simple. Didn't have one frap up, made it very easier for someone that's not great at it, me. Because I was trying to practice more conventional casting because I've got a bit of a technique that, Scott will probably, expand on and take the piss. It's a bit of a pirouette, a bit of a 9.4 scoreboard, but it gets out there, but it ain't accurate. So I've been trying to improve that technique.
So what was your biggest finding? We had a good conversation before, and you took a lot from. Obviously, you've homed your casting on that trip, but there was another finding that you found, like getting on that spot and what you found with new line.
I mean, I've been several times and caught a few big ones along the way, but every day's still a school day. And there was one instance in particular on this trip was not slightly embarrassing, but it explains some of the trips previously. Now, this will probably be common knowledge for many people, probably UH, and maybe you as well, Scott. You've done a lot of distance fishing. But we turned up, which leads on to another story. The first time I went, it was like distance fishing. Naturally, I'm a bit nervous because I don't do it all the time. And Ivan was like 25 wraps. I'm like, should have brought me 3-pounders. What's this kid on about, So went to the back of the swim, dropped the lead on the first marker stick like you do. stayed in the same spot, peeled the line off, went to the next one. Where the hell is it? There were 5 metre wraps. So all of a sudden I've gone like 25, 26, 27 wraps, not a problem to...
Yeah, so a normal wrap with a 12-foot rod would be 3.6 metres.
Yeah.
So you're talking a hefty amount
Increase.
more over 25
You're
rotations.
talking 30 odd metres.
So
enough you take a gulp of air and think, I'm now out of my comfort zone.
What are we talking in yards would you be then? What would...
So that'd be a 100-metre range then, wouldn't it, in yards? So you're talking, what, 130s, 140s then?
27 would be, 27.5 metres is, what's that, about 146, 145, 146 yards, which to me, I mean, that's probably an average long distance, isn't it? You know, you know, it's a fair thump, big old lead leader
I
gear.
don't think it's an average, mate. I'd probably
That
say
is
30,
extreme range.
30
You think
wraps.
so?
Yeah.
120 is probably your average long range.
I don't know. I think with the kit
Anything-
these days, I think that distance
it's
is
getting there.
getting,
It's getting there, but I think-
anybody with the right kit and technique should be able to hit
Yeah.
130s, 140s, in my opinion.
That's
I'm in your boat. 140 scares me.
Really?
I 140.
Well,
and you're someone who...
the average person listening to this podcast, a
Probably
cast
fishing
over 100
yeah.
yards is long range.
No, yeah, but what I say, I agree that
yeah.
it's long. But what I'm saying is that with the correct technique and the correct kit, they can do
Well,
it.
I could say that about darts. With the correct darts and the correct technique, I'd be kicking Luke Littler's arse.
Yeah, but
but to be fair, you know, when I go over there, it's not just about the fishing. We're having a social. You know, we're getting food delivered, we're cooking. Ivan's there, Philip's there. It's great. We're having a drink in the evening, and the reason why I've got better at it is because Ivan is meticulous in terms of his technique. He'll not let you get away with anything. If I'm hitting the clip and I'm going, have some of that, he's going, didn't hit the clip hard enough. You know, that is a
Soft,
that is a
soft clip.
No, hit the clip.
Hard
You know,
clip, hard clip.
I have. Your rod was too far in the air, but as much as you just want to turn around and throw last night's pizza at him, you know, it's like you got to take it on board. Every day's a school day, which leads on to the question you asked, Dean, was this trip in particular, and it does explain a couple of trips previously. One was a short trip with Scott, where the action dried up. So I've turned up, brand new 12-pound orange Exocet, braided leader, just mentioned that. Wrapped up, fished, first evening, didn't catch anything. Pal had a brace of 50s. I thought, game on the next day. I was like, check your wraps. No, I've wrapped up. No, check you, because you leave it in the clip generally. No, check your wraps. All right, I'll check my wraps. So, because it was new line, you've been thumping a 5-ounce sled.
Hitting that clip, yeah.
Yeah, because you won't let it get away with it. So I check the wraps. I'm like, so in a 5 metre wrap, I'm 2.5 metres out in terms of longer.
Yeah.
I'm like, doesn't sound much, but when you're trying to perfect what Ivan's dictating to you, and you're fishing a braid on a spom and putting all that gear in and putting all that work in, you've probably got a 2 to 3 foot corridor, probably 10 foot wide.
Don't sell the accuracy short. You have to be accurate. So Sean's going to be spomming real
You've got
time.
to be on
When
that
we
spot.
went a couple of years ago, my first trip, for example, slightly digressing, but it explains it. Is I put a rod out, and I was like, "Go, Sean, you put yours out." So Sean's put what he thinks is going to be his left-hander next to his left-hander next to my right-hander, because we're fishing one spot. Keep your bait concentrated and put them all there. So my right's gone out, Sean's left's gone out, and he's gone, yes, right, now in the middle. Sean's like, what? That's your right rod. We're like, you fucking joking, mate. There's about that much room in between it. No. All this they do. So,
Mate, if
like,
he could
accuracy at
choose,
this
he'd put
point-
3 baits on this table at 150 yards and spom on it.
But this is the reason for that is that the fish come to the bait.
Yeah,
exactly.
And they're not looking for one boilie off the side.
No.
They're coming in
They'll
and
ignore
they're
it.
going.
Not bothered.
They want the patch.
troughing.
They want the patch. And that's why it's
Right.
important that when you say about Sean's accuracy, and when he's then going 2.5 metres past, he's like, it might not seem a lot of difference, but his spomming would have been tight as that table, and then suddenly...
Suddenly you've got 3 tram lines through your baited area, and where I was fishing is on a bit of a sandbar. I was 2.5 metres down the back of it with 3 tram lines through my bait. And then, next day, get on it, reclipped, lesson learned. had a brilliant first day. I'll come on to the numbers in the end, but it was non-stop. I think we spawned 60, 70 kilos of bait out in 2-day sessions at that range.
You'd have loved that age, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, I keep inviting him, but
Make him moist.
Next year he's coming.
Yeah.
Because one, he'll be really good at it,
Yeah.
and I can perhaps learn some more. So by the end of the first day, after we've caught them all, Ivan, again, check your wraps. So obviously then you've used brand new line, you've been casting, you've got the stretch, then you've caught a few decent fish. It's stretched even more. I was another 2.5 metres out. So from start to finish, if I've not had listened to Ivan, and again, there's probably people out there going, you noddy, you should have done that anyway. It's common knowledge. It wasn't to me. It was a learning curve.
It wasn't to me, mate.
Yeah.
When you told me,
I'd have been 5 metres out. I'd have been a whole wrap out.
And you'll have some people thinking, oh, well, that sounds like a stretchy line, but you're talking about a line that's designed for distance casting. You can't
0.28 diameter.
You can't make a top end distance casting line that's got the stretch properties of braid or fluorocarbon, can you?
Yeah, no.
It's not
And
possible.
I just thought, I enjoyed that. That was good. That was a good lesson. And then it gets you thinking, doesn't it? Naturally.
You go back to other sessions, yeah.
And last time me and Scott went, the water was 6 foot higher than what it was this session. We were fishing in our waders. And I can't recall, I didn't, I can't recall if Scott did. We didn't recheck our wraps. And as we were there, we got more and more accurate, more and more bait went in, and the action just died.
We were putting it down because of the weather, because
It wasn't.
shit.
It wasn't. It was a stretch. We were fishing down the back of the sandbar in the gully of doom, inaccurately,
Not over bait.
5 metres off the bait.
Striving for all that distance.
I think
and
that
in the
is-
end, we were going too far.
But it didn't surprise me when you told me, because earlier on this year I was fishing on a lake, snag fishing, not at crazy range, 24 wraps, proper 12-foot wraps, so 90 yards. And because I was, so it wasn't like snags as in like sunken woodwork, just weed, heavy weed and some pads. So I was casting out, but leaving my line in the clip all the time, because you're not giving them any line. I just want to fish lock solid. There's enough stretch in your line to absorb the initial bite. Walk backwards, bring the fish in. So I've cast and cast into the tree, because I'm not a very accurate caster, and the wind took it. So I've had to. It's too high in the tree for me to like get it out. So you've got to pull for a break. So I'm pulling, and it's all come flinging out. Happy days, like I haven't. So then I've gone to cast the next time, and it's sort of like it's landed in the weed bed that I'm trying to land just short of. I'm like, how the fuck's that done that? Like so then I've gone back round my sticks, and I've got to to where I should be, and my rod's like well past the distance. I'm like by about, I don't know, 4 or 5 foot, and that was just from stretching out that 90 yards like that as you can, and then it pings out. That was just from that. So then I've had to. So like I totally understand what you're saying. Like,
and also when you're saying it's like hitting the clip and stuff, it's not just, especially at that range, you're fishing with tight lines. You're still going to have stretch in your line when it's just sat there on the alarms.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
So it is good. It is good practice, especially with those thinner lines, just to have a re-wrap
with any line,
once a day.
especially the thinner ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've joined a new syndicate this year, which is distance fishing. So obviously I can polish my skills and get a little bit better this year, and that's something that I'll put straight into that style of fishing.
Yeah.
on the UK water, because again it's similar. A lot of the time you can be fishing at range over bait, and I can do it a lot more accurate now.
one thing that would be interesting, I'm thinking of like totally on the top of my head here. If you had an elastic marker on, so you got your line in your clip, and then you tied your elastic marker at your rod tip. If the line stretched, would the elastic marker have moved?
Yeah, it'll.
No. From your clip to your elastic marker might have stretched.
It won't have.
It wouldn't have gone the full distance.
No. Your elastic marker will still be close to your rod tip.
But it's
the rest
moved,
of the
but
once you wrap
moved a little
it
bit.
out, it'll be further away from the point
Yeah.
between your sticks that it was earlier.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is don't then go by your elastic marker, even if
because if you think your elastic marker's in the right
You
place,
got 100 yards of
because it stretched past it.
It might have moved an inch from your clip to your
which you wouldn't
elastic
really
marker,
notice a lot.
But you got to multiply that.
over that
But
distance.
this is, but this is also
Food for
it's
thought.
definitely more of a thing with new line, because once you've used the line and you've put that stretch into it,
absorb some water.
it's
stretched. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it becomes like, you know, you get hook links that are pre-stretched mono.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say that.
You know,
like
and you're not winding in doubles. You know, I think we ended up with, and this will touch on your point earlier as well. I think we ended up with 34 fish in 2 proper days fishing, up to like just shy of £69, a couple over 60s, 850s, loads of big 40s. So you're winding in, you know, sacks of potatoes from 150 yards. You know, a little bit anxious because you're conscious that you want to carry on spomming because that's interrupted you feeding them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Crack this 60-pounder in as quick as
Dean,
possible.
can I ask, whose idea was it to bring Shaun in on the one podcast where me and Scott felt really good that we'd had a good couple of days fishing with 4 fish to scrape a 50s, and then he walks in and he had, what did you just say? 34 fish to £69 in 2 days.
2 of us. There was 2 of us.
There's 2 of us.
Oh yeah.
He had that in an hour. What you got?
slight different part.
Team effort, Lou. Yeah.
Yeah, collectively, between the 3 of us, we've done really well.
Landed some belters.
Slightly different pond.
You know, nothing lasts forever, does it? You know, you've had a bump in the road over there. They think they lost 1,000 fish. There's probably 4,000 or 5,000 carp in it. But it's my favourite place to go. I just love that strain of carp. I love the shape of them. They're the biggest, healthiest, shiniest carp I've ever caught. And another 18 months, 2 years, I think that lake in particular, plus others that I am gonna go to next year because one's quite coastal, so you got the chance to tune a fish in the day and can't fish at night. So I'm going to give that a go.
Be a nice brace shot. Tuna, the old Billingsgate tuna and a common and a mirror.
I think, you know, he's on about 34 fish, 2 days. Because when you get to night time there, once them rods go or whatever,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
you don't
the
recast them.
It's like the dinner bell.
you stop spodding and then you just start again the next day. So
Been loads of times, and literally when we were there, you can stop. You got 3 rods out on the clips, as accurate as you think. They'll be more accurate next time with what we've just discussed. Nothing. You go bed at 10, which is nice, especially, you know, with the old snoring bear next to me. And you can get up at 6 and almost dictate. That sounds a bit
when you
arrogant,
start catching fish,
but it's not. It's like, right, 6 bombs each, then we'll put the kettle on, let's instigate a bite, and it happens. That's
kettle's
what
not even
happens.
boiled. Not even
And
got the brew. It's away.
and you bait some 12 hours in the water. Away it goes, tightens up. We're using orange line, so we're not knitting like you were on Lake Bled. You know, it's like you can see exactly what you're doing. I love it. It's absolutely brilliant style of fishing. You've got to come next year, H. You'd really enjoy it.
Yeah. I've been saying it for a while, but yeah,
I've been a few times. It's, you know, we're lucky now because we've invested a lot in the tackle and stuff. We can literally get a flight and fish the same day. You know, a lot of these guys that are going over having to fish 2 days, drive 2 days before and after, stop over in Germany, which I do. But you know, we've built a nice little infrastructure. If
you can have a few short trips a year rather than maybe some guys who are having one big trip a year.
But I'll be honest, you know, if they weren't big fish, I won't be doing it.
No.
I won't be doing that amount of effort, spomming, casting, as much as I enjoy it, because I love using the gear.
No, because you could go and do that. You could go to Drayton or B1 or something like that. And do it, but it's,
you know, there's 60, 70, 80 pound fish in there.
Yeah.
That's your pulling it, the bigger the better.
Yeah, that's what floats my boat, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this sounds, I'll probably get hated for this, with flopping 40s. I know that sounds wrong, and it is wrong. Because if you get a really good looking one, then we'll take a picture. But it's like
when it's hectic.
it's all relative though, isn't it?
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And I don't want people to think
You wouldn't be flopping.
spoiled.
You wouldn't be flopping
because
40s back on a syndicate in the
I
UK.
don't- oh,
Exactly.
No, I'd be cock a hoop. It's just different style. It's adjusting to it.
Yeah, no, I can
You know.
imagine.
And when we've been there in the depths of winter, that February session we did, it was freezing and snowed. We took a picture of a couple of fish then because it was a lot slower.
I took a picture of a mid-sweater.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, happy days, and it. Yeah, but I don't want that to come across the wrong way. But it can be that hectic. You know, when like I say 850s and 360s, catch a 45 pound common. it's a flopper. I know.
It looks like the other 46 pound.
Captured that up. That's in the trailer.
Mate, honestly, and you know the peas in pods, but you're in a different country, been a few times, and that's just me. I just want to get the rod back out and try and catch one even bigger. I love catching a carp that it goes in the net and it's got a big, wrinkly slap head on it, a head like a Labrador, and its eyeballs are bigger than yours, and you think that's going to fill the mat. That's my buzz.
Yeah.
But that's it. You know, you've done a lot of that over the years, obviously with rainbow and all of that. Sort
Again,
of stuff
I don't want
as
to
well.
come across. I don't fish anywhere that doesn't give me the chance. I'm not saying. You know, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else or anything like that. I just want to give myself the opportunity.
But you've also got a knack on those venues of seemingly catching the bigger, or on whatever trips you get on, you seem to catch the biggest one.
What was one of your first fish out
Like-
of Shiaki on a stringer or something lobbed into the
It
abyss?
was on a bag, wasn't it?
Was it a bag?
It was on a bag that I got laughed at by Ivan, and he said, "What the hell are you doing? That will never catch on there. You won't be able to cast it out." I think one on the first cast, I think they hit the clip 40 yards in the air at 150 yards, which got his attention. And then I think 2 years later they won the world championships using PVA
Using
bags.
solid bags, yeah,
so
yeah.
It obviously resonated.
But that fish was how big?
Sorry, Scott. 82, something like that.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's
see,
it.
but-
It's like when we did the social on the farm lake. You know, we're all there, plenty of fish caught. You catch the biggest fish by far compared to everyone.
And the numbers of
I
big
did
fish.
call it though, and again, I don't want to come across as arrogant or there's lots of pain that goes into these sessions. There's lots of anguish and blanks and stuff like that. We are talking about the highlights, But yeah, you're right. We went to the farm lake as one example, and I think I came out last in the draw.
I think you did, yeah.
I was over the moon because it meant I could go down in the deep water, try and get a big one with loads of bait. All these run off trying to catch cricket-back commons in the shallows. I was like, this is working a treat. I'm near the fridge and the shower. Food. I've got a bit of space to myself. I've got sacks of bait, and they've all buggered off up there.
Yeah.
So
I've got access to a boat. Make it easy.
Yeah.
easy as possible. What are you going to do? I'm going to fish the plateau about 130, 140. I'm going to go out and put 2 sacks of pellet in. I'm going to put 30 kilo boilie in. I'm going to fish triangle formation because I was out in open water. I didn't want to cut myself off. So I was fishing in such a way that I'm giving myself the maximum opportunity for fish coming in every direction out in open water. And I didn't fish the shiny bit. I fished the slightly weedy bit with a bit of silt on. And I thought, and me and H had that discussion, didn't we? I said, hopefully, if they turn up, they'll polish through the weed, they'll get rid of a bit of silt, that spot will become a bit shinier, catch a few carp. I was bait boating, so I could see on the echo as well.
You can see that over the duration that weed getting lower
Well,
through
I think
the week.
2/3 of the way through, Harry moved down to my end, hijacked it.
No,
and we put the
Andy
drone
moved down to your
Andy did first, didn't you? And then
I
picked-
didn't move.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, you were on the point opposite.
Oh,
It was
yeah,
Andy,
yeah,
sorry.
Andy moved, yeah, yeah.
Apologies,
Andy
H,
Maker.
it was Andy Maker. And we put the drone up, and you could see the spot glowing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Within 7 days, they've done that, haven't they?
Yeah.
Can you said something there that I think a lot of people might not know about. You said triangle baiting.
Yeah.
Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, in simple terms, it's not having 3 baits in a row at range. Because one, for me, if the fish are coming from left or right, or behind you, what's that middle rod going to do?
Cut 'em off.
It's going to be like, it's surrounded, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, so I fished, and the feature I was fishing was a plateau, quite a big one, say 30 yards by 10 yards. So I was fishing 2 on the outsides of it, near side, and then the middle one was straight through the middle of it, on the back of it. So from above, it was a triangle, and I baited the whole lot. And when I say I baited it. I got laughed at the beginning because I think I had 10 bream and 8 tension a day, and to be fair,
But those bream had done the job as well, helping smash that weed.
exactly, as part
Yeah.
of the plan, Dean. Good point. And obviously, I resided to the beer fridge that night and scratched my head thinking, what am I doing? But I kept going. And eventually, I can't remember what I caught, but it was a couple of 50s and 60, was it, H?
69, I think the biggest
69,
one.
that was it.
69.
Yeah, because we netted it from the boat when you came over. That was a
Yeah,
wicked-
just
wicked
just
moment.
after my big one.
Yeah, it proved it came through in the end, but it was halfway through and onwards that it got established.
Yeah. No, I built it and went forward, mate. No, it was good. It was a good week. That was. I really enjoyed that. To be fair,
It was that was the best social weeks fishing I've had in a long time.
Yeah, no, it was a good one.
Firmly in the memory bank, that one. Great fun.
Mate, I'm looking at the time and we're waffling on, and I'd love to be able to get you back on another podcast and talk about targeting big fish and that. I think that's a whole nother episode we can go into. I want to get on to competition, things like that. H, somebody has won your rods.
Yes,
we've got a guy called Tom Draper who won the rods, but I can't give him because he's not a member of the syndicate.
Oh, well, you better get joined in, Tom.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we've done the draw. So all these competitions that we give away, they're all done through the syndicate. So you get to see the draws on there, but you have to be a member to win the prizes that we're giving away on the podcast. So make sure you sign up for the community page, which is the syndicate. Head over to Facebook, become a member, and then you've got your chance of getting your hands on all these amazing prizes. It was your birthday last week.
It was.
I've got a present for you.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Right,
I just wished him happy birthday. I feel bad.
So,
Is it,
Sean-
is
no,
it,
Sean will
is
know
it
what this
edible
is.
and it can
Sean
be
will-
shared?
I think you'll all know. You might even all have one.
Okay.
It's been a while, but I've had this for a long time. Neil Smith gave me this, but because Harry is now SPOM brand manager, I thought this would be fitting thing. Now, the only stipulation I've got is this has to be used on the next challenge, either yourself or pictures. It's probably going to be pictures. But happy birthday, mate.
I'm
And,
very intrigued. Oh, surely I need to open this.
You might
now,
even
right?
have one.
With that mic in
But
your
it
way,
was
it's
a
a
long
bit
time
tricky.
ago. Sean will be like, bloody hell, if you see. But Smithy gave me this.
You've really wrapped this up, which
And
is
he got
very
it from
awkward to
Smithy.
open on a podcast.
Yeah, sorry,
Luckily,
mate.
I came prepared.
With cozy Swiss Army knife with him, Harry does.
I use it every
With
day.
that and knife.
People take the piss, but I use this literally every day.
Well, it's coming useful there, hasn't it?
Andy
Yeah.
and Croydon.
And could you only get it from Smithy?
I could only get it from Smithy.
So it had a geographical,
And
and I think I know what it is.
I think you might know what it is. If you don't like fishing, you might like darts.
Yeah.
What?
Oh.
Oh, what's going? Dino, you haven't thought this through.
Oh no, definitely not what I thought it was.
What is that?
That is Luke Littler's SPOM jacket. If you like darts, H. Have you never seen one of them?
I've never seen that.
So
So-
for people listening on the podcast channels, Harry is holding what could only be described as a SPOM darts shirt.
Would this have? So was this made by SPOM? So like Brian and Judith back in
Would
the
have
day.
been, yeah. I
Oh,
imagine.
come on, there's got to be a shout out here.
I definitely
'cause
haven't got one
yeah.
of them.
As well as a fisherman, I'm a massive Warrington Rugby League fan, and I know Littler is. And I know he's done a bit of fishing at a charity event with one of my pals, Josh, who plays for Lee. So a bit of a shout out. Come on, Luke. Luke versus Harry. A bit of a darts challenge.
Yes, in that.
Come on. Come on, big lad.
I mean,
I'll try and make that happen.
I'd be keen for that.
it's a double XL, so I'm looking forward to you putting it on.
I remember Smithy walking into the tackle shop and he was like, "Got something for you, Dean?"
That was quite a good impression. Maybe that.
That's quality.
That's right. I reckon on the challenge, get pictures in that, doing a bit of spomming or yourself.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
All day long.
Yeah, all right.
Cheers,
Happy
Dino.
birthday.
Thank you very much.
Happy birthday, mate.
Cheers.
Regarding competitions and stuff you can win, obviously on the last podcast we had signed SPOMs by Dave Lane and Mozza. The draw for them is happening next week on the Syndicate, so you've still got a chance to enter, but make sure you are a member to pick up a signed SPOM by Mr. Lane and Mozza. With this podcast as well, get your questions in to the guys. If you want to pick up £100 worth of Fox Edge's terminal tackle in the comments, just put a question you want to put here to the guys, whether you want to ask Harry something or Lewis, or we got Chili back on the next one as well.
Yeah,
So
it
get
doesn't
your
need me or you. It's just Harry Lewis and Chili Shaun.
so get your questions in, guys. Other than that, it's been a great podcast. Sean, thank you very much for joining us.
Anytime.
And
My pleasure.
thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.
Brings to another
Nice
one.
one.
Cheers,
Thanks,
Dino.
mate.
Cheers, guys. See you on the next one.